My name's Lauren, and I work with people who are struggling with fatigue, burnout, anxiety and other typically quite tricky issues. And the reason that I do what I do is because I've essentially done that journey myself. I've been there and I'm out the other side. And for me, I went through a period in my life where I burnt out, and at that point I was facing a lot of symptoms, and I'd had 2 years of going back and forth from doctor to doctor, being told there was nothing that could be done, they couldn't find out what was wrong with me, only to then be diagnosed with this condition. And at that point I ended up doing this thing called the lightning process. And I got my life back on track, and now that's what I do, is I help people to do the same thing.
For the last 5 or 6 years I've been struggling with difficulty with sleeping and kind of what I guess you could describe as chronic fatigue syndrome, but a sense of like feeling drained quite a lot.
That's part of what drives me, is enabling people to pursue their dreams in good health, because you absolutely can have the two together. And I've been there, and I know what it feels like to be battling with 6 days at work, just trying to do your job, and you can't because your body is failing. And so I use one-to-one health coaching and the lightning process to help people bounce back and get their oomph back, essentially, from these tricky issues they just can't shift.
A lot of other modalities that I've tried have kind of like worked to heal other aspects of it, but this kind of fatigue component was really sort of still present. And so when she was so kind of energetic and so energized and so remarkable about what she could do, I just felt like, yeah, I had to give it a go.
Because when you're living with a health issue, it's not just the symptoms that are the problem, it's actually about losing who you were. And when I was ill, I felt like a shadow of myself. And this is really where I got the phrase helping you get your oomph back, because it's about rediscovering who you are and getting that spark that makes you you.
I think Lauren is one of the most credible and bright and inspiring practitioners I've met in some time.
I've had a couple of testimonials from my clients, and the starting sentences, I have to admit, I was a bit sceptical to start with, but having been down most other avenues, I thought, why not give it a go? And that's exactly where I was. I would say anyone who feels like they have exhausted every other option and they've reached that point of there is no hope, that's when it's time to do the lightning process, because it just seems to cut through when everything else doesn't.
If you're going to do the LP, you would be in incredibly safe hands with her.
As someone who did it myself, I remember that feeling of being on day 3 of the lightning process and realising that things were going to be really different, and life was, I had got the old me back. In fact, it was better than the old me. And so to get that feedback from clients, be reminded of that feeling and know that that's what you're sharing with someone else, is absolutely incredible.